I will be normal now, and I won't sing.
That's going to disappoint some of your fans.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we were looking forward to a whole new song. Come on.
Right.
That's a horrible lie, and you know it.
Ladies, gentlemen, and those of non-binary gender, welcome once again to an episode of the Bulldrek Round Table podcast, where I invite a couple of my buddies in the gaming industry to come hang out for a while and talk about games, life, and whatever else might come to mind. This podcast is made possible by the amazing support of my Patreon backers. If you're interested in helping support this project and my many others, please check it out at www.patreon.com/Bulldrek. As always, my name is Bull, and with me this month at the table are Jason M. Hardy, line developer for Shadowrun, and Andy Kane Hazen Coen. Welcome, guys.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The way this works is that we take turns posing questions to the group, and everyone answers and discusses. The questions can generally be anything from questions about our work, gaming stuff, nerd stuff, or just silly and fun questions in an informal setting to help each other and the audience get to know us better and hopefully have some fun along the way. However, this month we're going to add a theme to the questions. The Origins Game Fair just wrapped up in Columbus, Ohio, and Gen Con is just around the corner, and my guests are both longtime convention-going buds, so we'll focus on the conventions this time around. So we'll ask some questions involving convention stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and kick things off with a couple standard questions that I ask all the guests at the Roundtable every month, just to kind of warm things up. So first off, where might we know you from? Tell us a couple things that you've worked on. I kind of cheated in my introduction with Jason, but Jason, why don't we start with you?
Shadowrun stuff. I am the Shadowrun line developer and have been the Shadowrun line developer for Catalyst Game Labs for almost 8 years now.
That's a long time.
It is. So anything Shadowrun that's come out in the past 8 years probably has my name on it somewhere.
So
and if you're a long-time fan, you've probably cursed me for something.
You're old.
Yes, yes, I am. Well pointed out.
Have you done anything other than Shadowrun?
I did Crimson Skies novels way back in the day. I did D20 stuff in the D20 boom because that's what we all did. It was the law.
Everybody.
I didn't because I didn't want cancer.
Well, I wanted money, but that didn't always come either. So whatever.
Understand that.
Oh, but do you know what? Do you know what the coolest one was that I did?
What's that?
Shadowrun? Did you ever read The Dark is Rising series of books by Susan Cooper?
I did not.
They are awesome. They've got Arthurian legend and all sorts of Welsh mythology in there. And they made a movie of the first one of a number of years ago, hoping to get a whole franchise. But they did a lot of different website stuff and extra add-ons as part of the campaign for it. So I got to write some stuff for the movie campaign for The Dark is Rising, and I love those books. So that was
that's
really
cool. It's called The Dark is Rising?
Yeah.
By Susan Cooper?
Susan Cooper.
All right. I might have to check those out. Excellent.
Yeah, they're good.
And
more young adulty, but awesome.
Well, that's all right. I read adult stuff.
I doubt that.
I am the world's largest 12-year-old. All right. You also got a book you've written, right? A non-gaming thing.
Yes, I wrote a book called The Last Prophecies. That was my own original fantasy setting thing. So, that was fun.
Cool. All right.
That was really terrible self-hype promotion, by the way.
It really, you're awful at this.
Embarrassingly bad.
That's all right. I tried to help you out, man.
It's a fantastic book, and it's about prophecies and the chosen one who's supposed to save the world, but is the prophecy right? Read the book and find out. Okay, that was better.
There we go. A little bit better. All right, Andy, why don't we tell us a little bit about yourself? Andy, where might we know you from? Tell us a few things about yourself.
So I am an occasional artist and a bit of a writer during the Missions era. Seasons 3 for Denver, I was cover artist and interior artist, occasional layout help, and a few other things. And season 4, I managed to get an adventure written in there as well. Oh yeah, and season 3. So I am also known as the first person to actually have put bathrooms in maps of Shadowrun buildings. A heresy indeed.
A worthy accomplishment.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, people may see me at the con working either with Catalyst or occasionally with rather dashing games, and occasionally running around being the mediator in projects between people there.
Awesome. All right. So now my second question, and of course you guys all, everybody knows where I'm from, so I don't need to answer that.
From my basement, I remember that.
Yes, I lived in your basement for a little while. That was fun. I was your basement orc.
Yes.
Everyone should have a basement orc.
Or 3.
Exactly. However many it takes.
You have a whole raiding party just waiting in your basement.
Unleash the basement orc.
All right. And my second question, we're going to modify this slightly, because usually I ask what's one of your favorite foods and why. Which is how we found out that Whack apparently has never eaten food before.
That's a shame. He should try it. There's lots of good stuff out there.
But we're gonna modify this slightly. Eating out at places you can't normally go during a convention is a big plus to attending these shows. At either Origins or Gen Con, what is your favorite where is your favorite place to eat, and what is your favorite meal to eat there?
Oh God, you know the answer to this already. Why do you even ask this question?
Because
Weber Grill, anything straight up off the barbecue menu or any of the steaks, and they have good scotch.
Yes,
lots of scotch.
Yeah, Weber Grill is fantastic. Although I do have to admit, Giordano's is they rapidly became my number 2 this last year. That pizza was amazing.
No, I give you that. I thank you for discovering that. That was awesome.
That'll definitely be something to do again this year. Jason,
Giordano's is very good. I couldn't count that because I could just have them delivered to my house anytime.
Yes, we don't live live in Chicago, so we don't get cool deep dish pizzas like that. Jason, assuming they let you out of the booth at all.
Well, that's why my answer will focus on Origins, because I get a little more time to actually eat at Origins than Gen Con. And you can't get this particular menu item anymore, but this was really popular among all of us for a few years. There is an Italian restaurant just north of the convention center in Columbus called Marcella's.
Yes, I've eaten there a couple times.
Yeah, and they had a really good steak fillet on the menu for a while. And so we'd go get that, and they'd cook it really well, very tasty, and then about 2 or 3 doors down from that restaurant is a place called Le Chocoholique, which is really fancy designer chocolates.
Oh,
so
nice.
we'd go to the Italian place, get the steak, then head on over for chocolates and take our chocolates with us and be completely indulgent and enjoy it very, very much.
You notice when we worked with them, we were never invited these things, Bull.
Oh, of course not.
We only discovered the place a few years ago.
It's true.
Not like we knew about the place when I started.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And to be fair, I haven't been at the last 2 Origins, so.
It was the pioneering efforts of Rhett Kipp, who sometimes when we're going out for dinner says, hey, how about we walk and see what else is out there?
The hell? Rhett's just a crazy, crazy man.
He's a radical.
Walking. What is this? He's still used to the Milwaukee days when, the closest place to eat was 7 or 8 blocks.
Well, that's what he's told me about Milwaukee, because I complained to him about how tough it was to find food there. And he says, oh, there's plenty of food if you knew where to go. And I clearly had no idea.
Yeah, there wasn't too many places. I did a lot of exploring, and part of the problem was Milwaukee tended to close down at like 6.
Yeah.
That's the Midwest, man. That's just how it goes.
Well, Milwaukee was especially bad, because downtown, even Midwest, downtown shops and stuff don't usually close that early. Especially on a weekend. Friday and Saturday, when most of your stuff is closing at 6 or 8, is ridiculous.
Well, and in Indy, they figured out how to adapt. They've realized there are lots of hungry people coming in and want to be at our places late, so we'll adapt to them. Milwaukee seemed to have trouble.
Well, it was less that Milwaukee wasn't willing to adapt, as that Milwaukee didn't like us. Indianapolis.
Well,
Indianapolis loves us.
Yeah, that kind of makes you less willing to adapt when you don't like people.
Yeah, there's that.
They didn't really have a convention district, though, did they?
No, not really. That was the other problem.
Not as fully developed as Indy, you're right.
Yeah, Indy actually rebuilt their downtown a number of years back around the convention center. They designed
brilliant.
it. So, yeah. That's one of the reasons why everybody keeps talking about, well, Gen Con's getting too big. They might have to move. And I'm like, there is no place to go.
Yeah, it's tough to find a place.
There are larger convention centers, but I always make the argument that gaming conventions in specific, especially Gen Con and RPG conventions and board game conventions, have very specific needs, and one of those needs is having a lot of food places and a lot of hotels very close to the convention center.
Right.
Because you go to like a comic convention or even San Diego Comic-Con. You go there and you wander around. You go to a few panels or whatever, and then you leave. You go out and you explore the city. You go out to eat or whatever. You don't stay at the convention center 24/7.
You're supposed to go hide somewhere and read your comics, aren't you?
Well, like anybody goes to a comic convention anymore for comics. San Diego Comic-Con hasn't been about comics in years.
Not since the new media days.
Yeah. But that's the thing is with gaming conventions. The gamers pretty much live there. They're there all day long, so they need to be able to jump out and grab food real quick so they can get back for more events. They need close hotel rooms so they can drop stuff off. And
tangent question off of that, because
Sure.
I've seen that they're talking about, hey, we're going to sell out here. Does anyone know what the sellout number for Gen Con is? Because I'd really like to know what number they're going to use there.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything specific.
I don't know the hard number.
I'm guessing between 75 and 100,000, but I'm not sure.
Okay, that's about the same thing I was thinking of, but
Because last year Gen Con hit just shy of 61, and there was no mention of selling out. So I'm guessing we're going to definitely blow 61 out of the water, but I don't know by how much. So
I'm sure it's a little slippery because I think they're still doing badges for exhibitors and everything and figuring out how many badges all the companies need.
Well,
so
they're going to be. I think
they're not sure how many are coming in on that side, but
right,
and there's some maximum number that I don't know what it is.
Right, and they're going to give themselves a little bit of a buffer too. I think because they'll probably want to have some badges available on site for day of.
Yeah,
but
no badges for day of. You people didn't think ahead. Too bad for you.
We don't need no stinking badges. But
a few of those years.
Fresh in there.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting show. It'll be fragging nuts, but it should be interesting.
Yep.
So speaking of, we'll start off with Jason on this one. Jason, what is your favorite thing to do at conventions other than work?
Wait, something else happens at conventions?
Yeah, I know that feeling some years.
I wasn't aware. Well, this is a stupid, obvious answer, but play games, because I'm seeing people that I generally only see at conventions, or maybe rarely, and if I can get a chance to get down at a game table with them and play some games and get a group together that I don't have most of the time, that's what I'm there for, is the games anyway. So I want to find some time to play something.
You know me. I don't generally game at conventions.
Wait, we play games at these things? We go to gaming conventions to game? What? When?
I actually might try to do a couple this year since I'm not working the show for once, but I am definitely never been, other than the first year I went, I've never been a big go to just a game guy.
Hey, we had a few years where we played our missions characters and broke some GMs.
Yeah, but still, it was usually only like 2 or 3 games. You know, you get these guys that go and they'll play 2, 3, 4 games a day. You know, compared to them, we're, posers.
Sad, pathetic little men.
Andrew.
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite thing to do at conventions?
outside of joining the Scotch Squad meetings, actually the playtesting, the being introduced to the new games, knowing a few people like Jason on the inside occasionally gets you those invites to interesting times where you can give your feedback on an upcoming game, get to play it early, get to look at the concepts, get to actually provide direct feedback to creators a lot of the times. I really enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's always a fun thing. I've gotten to do that a couple of times with some Catalyst stuff, and I remember back in the day getting a chance to see upcoming art and stuff for FASA products and whatever. Talking to the guys about upcoming products.
Yeah, I mean we've done it for a few of the Catalyst products, and of course I saw quite a few rather dashing games. Got to do 2 this year. Playtest 2 of them this year, so that was that's always a good time.
Awesome. I think for me, honestly, socializing. As much as I love gaming and I do love going, I do actually enjoy going to game. I never get a chance to do much of it, but I do like sitting down and playing a few games when I have the time. Playing missions with you, Andy, was definitely a highlight of a few years, and the LARP the one year was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
The Shadowrun LARP, but and I've gotten to do, like I said, some playtesting. We did the one Shadowrun board game we got to playtest a couple of times. Was a lot of fun. And it makes me sad that it hasn't come out yet.
The what of what? Maybe Jason should speak to that.
Which one did you playtest? Remind me.
The one where you play the Corp and trying to take over Seattle.
Okay, you played the first version of that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't played the later, because I haven't been at Origins in a couple of years, and we never get a chance to do that at Gen Con.
So just as an update, we got a different version of a game with that sort of theme, a corporate takeover theme Shadowrun game, but we wanted to get more of a Shadowrun board game out first, where you're actually playing more of a Shadowrun-y type thing. So we have that game. It's almost done, so look for that in the near future.
All right, cool.
Nice.
Not a Gen Con, though.
But yeah, no, my favorite thing to do at convention, honestly, is socializing. This will be my 21st Gen Con, and my original Gen Con badge will be old enough to drink at this Gen Con.
Woo!
Is it coming?
I'm going to bring it. Yes, I don't know.
Right.
I'm actually not sure if you can actually read it anymore, because those old printers they used, it was that old dot matrix printers.
That's the word.
That ink doesn't hold up, but I'm not entirely sure if you can read it still. But I will bring it along with me just because. And I know, and there's so many people I only get to see at conventions. So I do my damnedest to go out and visit and hang out with as many people as I can. And, of course, seeing everybody at Catalyst and all the demo team guys. The Shadowrun Scotch Squad, hanging out with them and drinking far too much haterade.
No more haterade, sir.
Well, you don't have to drink the haterade. You can stick with the $900 bottles of scotch.
It was $800, was my understanding.
Okay, well, yep. Either way, that's a crazy amount of money for an alcohol.
But it was so good.
Did you guys finish it off?
We were not allowed. Old Man Scotch, Nick, he is officially now termed Old Man Scotch, was told by his wife that some of that was coming home.
Okay. I'm wondering. I'm half hoping a little bit of it makes it back to Gen Con, just so I can take a sip. I'd like a little tiny swig.
Yeah, it's a very, very good whiskey, very good Scotch. Yes, indeed.
For those maybe listening that aren't aware, we have a group of us, basically a bunch of Shadowrun fans and employees and such that are unofficially, or officially, I'm not even entirely sure. We call ourselves the Shadowrun Scotch Squad, and we get together most nights to convention and hang out and drink. And one of the big things that everybody brings is really nice, really expensive scotches for everybody to sample and try and enjoy. And it's a lot of fun.
I enjoy being with them, even though I'm usually just having a Coke.
Yes.
And we enjoy your presence, sir.
Yes. Drinking is not mandatory to be part of the Scotch Squad. We just like your presence.
Generally, just a bunch of people laughing and having a good time.
And that's really what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm about to say, we don't even require Shadowrun anymore. I mean, we
That's
pick
true.
up those weird Canadians, although some of them are playing Shadowrun now. So,
We
more power to you guys.
we keep introducing people to Shadowrun. Well, let's see, it's Shadowrunners or, friends of Shadowrunners.
That's right.
Contacts, sir.
Friends of friends. So, all right.
Did you make that roll?
I made the roll. All right. Andy, why don't you ask a question?
Ooh, my turn for a question.
Your turn for a question.
All right, so we are still on the topic of conventions here. So let me ask you guys, what do you like to see at the conventions when you're hitting that floor? What is your favorite thing when you're out there on the floor to see?
Jason, why don't you answer first?
Well, this year at Origins, the Dos Hermanos tacos, man, that was good stuff.
Oh, was that the taco stand that was actually at in the convention center?
Yeah, so as far as actual convention center food goes, it was really good. Generally, convention center, you're just saying, it's convenient, I will choke it down and live.
Yeah.
This was actually food you look forward to at a convention center.
Oh, wow.
I did not hear about this one. I am now greatly depressed and next year have a target.
Yeah. I saw somebody posting about it, but no, that's awesome.
But generally, I'm just looking for something I haven't seen, and it really helps because I don't have a lot of time to go around the exhibit hall. It really impresses me how important good design is, because something has to be eye-catching to get my attention so that I stop and take a look at it to see if maybe I'm interested in it. So I'm just looking for something that's got a different feel to it than all the games in my collection, something that's going to be interesting to me, something that's going to have a story to it that will grab me, and then I'll flip a box over and look at how many players it has and playing time and all the good stuff and see if the game sounds like something that I want to play. But I'm always looking for something I want to play because, I only have like 150 games, and that's clearly not enough.
Well, no, because,
not at all.
You'll run out of games in no time.
Yeah, because I've played like almost half of them, so I need more.
As for me, I go for the visuals when I'm wandering around. So, yeah, again, it like Jason says, it has to be something that pops out. But I really like looking at cool, like dioramas and stuff, like miniature setups and buildings and castles, and anytime there's any of that. And then, like, some of the companies occasionally will bring those big giant statues and stuff to decorate their booth.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know a lot of times the War Machine guys will have, like, the giant mechs or whatever at their booth, and those are always really cool to see. So it's just something that, it really pops out at you while you're just wandering around, and you see it, and you go, "Woo, this is cool. I want to see this. I want to take a picture of this." And it draws you in right away just as a visual.
If someone has like the tiles of a dungeon and it's all three-dimensional, and their minis are in there, then yes, I'm going to stare at that for a few minutes. And imagine it being in my bedroom when I was 12 and enjoy that.
I'm also always fascinated by the booths that have just like those little tiny companies that'll have like one little booth or like one or two tables, and they're just packed with random crap. A lot of times they're anime themed, but sometimes it's just toys, and sometimes it's just weird random stuff. I know there's always one that's got a bunch of war games, like not wargaming, but like war movies and war memorabilia stuff, and those are always fascinating too because you just never know what you're going to find when you like poke around the tables.
Yeah, I think you get more of those at like the Comic-Cons, but there can be so much random stuff in there.
You don't see them at Origins as much, but at Gen Con there's usually a few of them.
They must be in the corners of the hall I miss, but I miss tons of Gen Con stuff.
Yeah, they usually tend to be out towards the edges.
Yeah, I never get there.
Yeah, it takes so long to look around the Gen Con hall that
I
about
send
to
a
say it's
carrier
going to be
pigeon.
bigger this year, right? It looks like it's expanded even more.
A little bit, yeah. I think they brought it a little more north on the west edge.
I'm pretty much expecting to spend an entire day wandering the hall at some point, because it'll take me that long to actually look around everything real well.
Send up
Actually-
a flare if you need food.
Actually, judging by what I saw, it may actually take 2 whole days to wander it if it is that crowded. Because last year I was given, I was working a booth and I was given the Thursday off, and I barely hit everything in the hall. In fact, there were still some booths Saturday when I did a run for somebody that was like, wait, how did I? Where was that the other day?
Yeah, you can get lost in there sometimes too. It is so big. So what's your favorite thing, or what is your what do you look for, Andy?
I like being surprised. So last year's big surprise for me, because I don't spend time reading the guest books or anything else, or even checking to see who's actually going to be there. Just doing the run through the hall. I didn't know the guy, Scott Kurtz in PvP in that group was all there, and we'd communicated a couple of times over email. So just running into him and going, "Oh crap, didn't even know you were going to be here, man." And so I had a good conversation with him. I do just love those little surprises, when I'm not looking for someone when they didn't make the big guest list, but there's still, someone cool I'd like to talk to at the booths is actually there, whether it be a game designer or an artist or what.
That's cool. Yeah, I know. I always look at the Catalyst booth to see if there's anybody cool there, but I'm always disappointed.
Nope, usually just me. Well, Noah's there. Noah's awesome.
No, I'm teasing Jason, of course.
No, I understand. I'm disappointed to see me at the booth. Every time I walk in there, that guy again. Jeez.
All right.
Whatever, man. I'm the first guy who liked your Facebook fan page, damn it. I like seeing you there.
You are very cool that way, and many other ways.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, Jason, you got a question for us?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the next step of the question Andy asked, and that's, if you're seeing cool things, or especially seeing cool games, how do you find out what to look for? How do you find out something that you think you're going to be interested in? What screening techniques or internal radar or whatever do you have that helps you hone in on finding something that you want to buy or finding something that you want to try out? How do you know what's cool out there?
Oh, dude, that is all presentation right there. I mean, you can't present yourself screaming. You can't be out in the middle of the aisles trying to drag me in. You gotta be somewhat subtle. You gotta have the setup that catches my eye, that makes me stop and stare at your booth for a couple of seconds. Then, if you've caught my eye, then I'll let you do the sales pitch on me. It's always got to be something that just catches me and stops me for me to really get drawn in to a booth the first time around. Otherwise, it's I'll take my wander through the hall and I'll note 2 or 3 things that didn't necessarily entrance me, but they caught my eye enough that I'm back at that one. I'm back at that one in a couple of hours, and we'll see if they're willing to show me what they've got.
Yeah, I think for me it's a lot of the same, although I'm a little trickier because I don't tend to spend too much money at conventions on gaming products. And when I do, it's usually something that I knew about ahead of time. And often it's something that's being basically pre-released so that I know this is going to be at the convention, and I know there's usually a limited amount, so I run and grab it like first thing at the convention. But otherwise, it's going to be presentation, and like Andy said, you can't be overly pushy. The people running the booth can be really friendly, but here's an example. Game Science, and I'm blanking on the guy's name right now. Older gentleman, been in the gaming business forever, and he was one of
There's a few of those, man.
The guy that founded the Game Science, the dice, those laser etched dice. Luzacci.
I don't know if that's a name I know.
Luzacci.
Okay.
Really nice guy, really passionate about gaming. a little too passionate about gaming. One of my very first cons, I think it was my very first Gen Con. I made the mistake of, as I was looking through the booths, I paused for a second in front of his booth, and he swooped down and like encircled me and like pulled me in, and then just started going to town talking about his dice, which are fairly nice dice, but they're like the laser edge stuff, and he's real big on how precise they are, and how, like, if you stack up them, they're always exactly even, but if you stack up a bunch of, like, say, Chessex dice, they're not always even, and they don't roll exactly perfect, and et cetera, et cetera. And he's got, like, this 20-minute spiel that he'll go on for. And, like, he traps you and doesn't let you leave. And ever since then, I've kind of, I mean, like I said, I like the company, and from what I've read about, Lou is a fantastic guy, and he's had a lot of impact in the gaming industry, but like, I avoid the game science booth like the plague at conventions because I don't want to get drawn in. I actually, we were walking by it a few years after that. I was walking by it with a friend of mine, and he made the mistake of taking a couple of steps over there, and I said, "Don't do it." And he goes, "Why?" And I go, "Just trust me on this." And he goes, "No, I want to take a look." And he took a couple more steps over, gone for half an hour. And it was just like, he was like, and then when he comes back, he goes, "I should have listened to you." So yeah, you wanna be friendly and you want to be outgoing when you're, because I've worked the booths too. You want to be friendly and outgoing, and you want to try to catch the attention of people passing by, but at the same time you don't want to be obnoxious and you don't want to annoy them. So you be friendly, you say hi, and if they stop, then you engage them. But otherwise, you don't go out there and don't be a predator.
Always good advice.
So
Don't look creepy. Don't be a stalker. You'll be fine. It's all okay.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, I look for things that'll catch my attention, that have my interest. Like, if I'm walking around, and not that I've ever seen anything like this in the last number of years, but like, if I ever saw something that had G.I. Joe plastered on it, I would immediately stop and take a look. Something that's one of my main interests, I will stop and check that out regardless.
Putting that checkbox in my collection there.
Dude, if you ever get the G.I. Joe license for anything, I am all over it.
Oh, I know.
Unfortunately, Hasbro has that on lockdown.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any good efforts to get it beyond that.
Cynthia Miller does Cartoon Action Hour.
Right.
I know back when she did first edition of Cartoon Action Hour, she actually looked into it. And it was so... I don't remember exactly what it was. It was like she was talking to them, and they were real iffy about it, and I think they threw numbers at her that were just so outrageous that there was no way it was worth it.
It's too bad, because she's got the proper amount of respect and knowledge of G.I. Joe, and as well as talent to do it, that she'd do a good job.
Yeah, well, I was doing a little bit of writing for her at the time, too, and I actually play tested the original Cartoon Action Hour using a G.I. Joe model. So that was, I would have loved for that to happen. So back around to me. What is your favorite memory from a convention? Favorite single thing that's ever happened, done, experienced, whatever, at any of the conventions?
You're stealing my question, so I hate you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That occasionally happens. Andy, why don't you start?
Oh, well, let's see. Mandatory answer, and actually possibly my favorite thing ever was pretty much my wedding, because as you've mentioned, we have lots of people that we don't see, except for these 3 times a year, and so me and my wife chose Origins for our wedding date, and Columbus has a nice model of a full-size Santa Maria sitting on the river where we got to do our whole wedding, and had like everybody, including Jason there, and a bunch of other friends who were designers, got to come out and got to have everyone that I don't get to see that often, who are good friends of mine, in and around me. That was just a phenomenal experience for a con.
You would have been in so much trouble had that not been your answer.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jason.
It was an awesome wedding, though, with the whole line of people raising swords. You don't get that at too many
No, yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
And the lightsabers.
Yeah, whatever blades they happened to have on hand.
I think I had a cane.
That worked too.
It's all good.
All right, Jason, your favorite convention memory?
Well, there's a number, but I think what I love most about conventions is when you're kind of riding the wave of chaos and frantically trying to get a lot of things done, but some of them are actually working. So this was one year at Origins, and Felicia Day was going to be there, and they had a thing they were doing at Origins where they would just kind of drop a celebrity in on a game, and they'd go to like a already formed game and tell people, hey, your game's been upgraded, and take them to another room to play, and there would be whatever celebrity waiting there to play with them. So she was going to be the celebrity to play a game of Shadowrun. So they were going to do all that. So we had like a custom drawing of a character for her, and we made sure we picked the hottest GM we could find to do it.
Yeah.
And then a good backup GM for him just to make sure things ran smoothly and to help Felicia through that. So we had that going on. And that was the same night as the Origins Awards that we had something. I think Runner's Toolkit maybe for 4th edition was up. And also I was supposed to be leading a game of Arkham Horror with a lot of Catalyst people that night.
Oh, yeah, one of the mega games.
Right. So I started in the room just making sure everything went well with the Felicia Day game, and it looked like it started out great. I heard her as she was looking over spells say, oh, there's a fashion spell in this game? This is the best game ever. And she seemed to be happy, so that was good. Then I walked down hoping to get to the Origins Awards in time for the category that we were in, and I ended up doing like the worst award show behavior ever. I walked into the middle of a ceremony looking for people I knew, and I saw some Catalyst people, including Ben Rome, who was an assistant line developer for Battletech at the time. And he caught my attention and held up a trophy and said, and he mouthed to me, "You won." So I just walked over to him, grabbed the trophy, and since my category was over, I just turned around and walked out.
Nice.
Yeah, probably looked bad. You know, I just came here for my trophy, and now I'm done with you people. But I had stuff to do. So then I went back, made sure the game was going okay, and then tried to get Arkham Horror running. But just the whole walking back and forth, because, of course, the Shadowrun game and the Origins Awards were completely opposite ends.
Oh, of course.
The convention hall. The Shadowrun game wasn't even in the convention hall. It was way out by the food court.
Right.
Yeah, so I was walking back and forth, sending text messages, trying to find out what was going on, hoping everything was working, and the fact that it was working and things were going great and people were having fun. That was a fun night. I enjoyed that one a lot.
That was a pretty good night. I actually made the character that Felicia was playing.
Attaboy. See, we brought in our best.
And, yeah, I had Steven Tinner running the game, and it was a game that Rob Loper had written.
Right, and then Bob Loper was the backup, I think.
Right, he was the yeah, we set him as co-GM to help out Felicia with the rules and stuff, and yeah, it was a fantastic night.
Yeah, and in fact, my second favorite memory was the night before when we were working with Loper on playtesting his adventure to clean it up, and yeah, her and Will Wheaton and Patrick Rothfuss and John Scalzi were all at the table next to us. Bull had to be drawn away, the poor guy.
I had to go make the character because we found out that nobody had done that. So
that's a thing that probably should happen.
Yes, so I ended up having to leave, and I got to miss all that fun.
Yeah, so we didn't have the full game of Arkham Horror that night because Randall and Lauren from Catalyst were like, we're going to go check to make sure everything's going okay with the game. And I was like, oh, I can come too to make sure. And they're like, no, you stay here and run Arkham Horror. We'll be right back. and they didn't come back for hours because they were doing whatever.
Of course.
And the whole reason we were playing Arkham Horrors because Randall had never played it and was saying, well, we got to play it. So he didn't get in that game, and then he was still saying, I need to play Arkham Horror before the convention is over. So Sunday, after booth breakdown and after dinner, and we're all exhausted, at about midnight, we started a game of Arkham Horror.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Because
we're complete idiots. But we won.
Woohoo!
That is a thing. Let's see, what's my favorite memory? I have a lot of really good memories. Honestly, I think my favorite has to be one of the very... And this is a really weird one. It's one of the very first conventions I ever did, though. It was like... I want to say it was my second Gen Con. No, it was my third Gen Con. It was my second year running at Gen Con as a GM. And when we got to the convention, somebody had no-showed. One of our GMs at the last minute had to cancel, and he had been scheduled to run Earth Dawn. And just for whatever reason, nobody else was available at that time except me. Now, I had never run Earth Dawn, and I had only ever made a character. I'd never even really played. I had made a character once. So they basically said, hey, Bull, can you run Earth Dawn? And I said, no. And they go, we don't have anybody else to do it, so here's the rule book. You need to learn the rules by tomorrow. So I sat down at the table to run this game of Earth Dawn. And we're going around the table introducing everybody. And I find out that at the table is Sherry Prosperi, who was the wife of the Earth Dawn line developer. There was this other guy who was the head of the RPGA Earth Dawn line. He was in charge of the Earth Dawn RPGA. Two of the other players at the table I actually knew from Shadowrun the year before, and they were really cool, so I was really glad about that. And then the other two players were friends of a bunch of the FASA guys, and one of the girls was telling me about how one of the character portraits in Earth Dawn was based on her, because she knew the artist. So I'm sitting there like just sweating bullets, like holy crap. And I ended up winging a lot of it, and I ended up improvising a few things. And one of the things I improvised was, as kind of this running joke, there was this raccoon that was following them around. And apparently I did a good enough job, and they all knew that I was really nervous about this. That team ended up winning the tournament overall. They won first place. So at the awards ceremony, they had all gotten together, and they bought me a Beanie Baby raccoon, because this was back when Beanie Babies were a huge thing, back in the mid to late 90s there. They bought me a Beanie Baby raccoon and all presented it to me after they got their awards. And I always thought that was just a fantastic thing, because that was like, because I was so, like, I thought I just did such a terrible job. And apparently
Clearly not.
Yes. And that's always been my pep talk for any time I have GMs that are always nervous about running. Like, I've never run Shadowrun for strangers. And I'm like, look, this happened to me. If I can pull it off, you can pull it off.
Well, it's what I always call the Marge Simpson piano lesson rule. When she says that she can make money giving piano lessons, and Homer says, you don't know how to play the piano. And she says, I just have to be one lesson ahead of the kids. All you need to do is just know one bit more than the people playing.
Jason, do you have a question?
Well, and it'll flow into that since I had to think of a new question, and I just did. But game mastering at conventions can be wild, can be woolly. You never know just who's going to be in the group. You never know what dynamic is going to evolve. What wisdom have you learned in your convention attending years to pass on to other people about what they should know to run a game at a convention?
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah, that is.
Kane, why don't you go?
Oh, man, but should you not impart upon us Tinner's wisdom? Because, man, his wisdom on this was greater than all of ours combined, I think.
It really was.
Dice are for sound effects.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Rule number 1, dice are for sound effect only. which basically means don't let the dice bog down the game and the story. 2, in my world, jets fly backwards, which effectively meant don't sweat like tiny physics rule. Basically, games are designed to be games and they're designed to be fun. So don't let the little details bog down the game and bog down your enjoyment of the game. And 3, put on a good show and fate will smile on you, which means just, even if your character's not good at it, even if it's not something you're good at, especially things like, when you've got a guy playing a face and they have no social skills, it can be really hard to try to role play that sometimes. And it's like, you know what, just role play your heart out, do your best. And and hopefully your if a good GM will roll with it and smile on you. And that was always Tinner's rules for GMing, and that was always good advice as far as I was concerned, because that always helps put the players, helps put the game, and helps put the story ahead of everything.
That is a good set of advice.
Yeah, that is some of the best. It is hard to top any of that.
But try anyway.
Well, but that's a general GMing advice, not necessarily specifically convention GMing advice. So, I mean, it applies to conventions, but...
Yeah, but you can get a little more crunchy in a regular home game where everyone's going to learn the rules, and so you can make things a little more precise.
Well,
and cons.
And of course, there's also unique challenges that come with a convention game because you've got a group of strangers sitting down at the table.
Right.
Sometimes.
Usually. Not always, but usually.
Then there's the 7 dwarfs, and they will show up at your table and your LARP. And
well, yes, and they're awesome.
One of them was GMing at Origins, sir. You missed out on that. Yeah, he joined the Scotch squad with us.
Nice. So. I didn't even know they made it out to Origins.
They had 3 or 4 last year.
Okay.
So let me think. My advice for con GMing is actually take the breather in between. I like what Ray ended up doing, dividing things up so everyone gets an hour break, because seriously, take the moment to say no. When that GM doesn't show up at the next one, just let it go. Go get your food, go get your drink, because you need all of that in you to be at the top of your game.
Good advice, yes. You got to be ready for just about anything, so yeah.
Yeah, fuel up, let your mind have a break, and also please gods read just a little bit over what you're supposed to do.
Why would you do a thing like that? Read the adventure ahead of time?
Okay, I will remind you of our early days GMing when Chuck came to us with a sheet 15 minutes before the adventure and said, "This is it. It's 1 page long. Have fun with this."
Oh, I remember all too well.
There were some really great adventures that came out of that, but yeah, it's still I do think your head needs to be in the game and prepared just a little bit. So, if you've got your food and your drink so you're not distracted, you can focus on the players so that they can have a good time. And if you know where you're going, even if you don't have all the details, if you know what the story is supposed to be, it's easier to break the rules of the story.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And here I was expecting you to say to GM drunk.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Never did that intentionally.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jason, it was your question. You get to answer it.
Yes, I do. And this is probably particularly an answer for me, and that's to make sure you don't let the little stuff derail the game, and don't let annoyances about different styles of play or people being obnoxious or whatever derail things. You want to try to help them have fun. So if the hacker is determined to sit in a van the whole game and just do things remotely, let them have fun the way they have fun. If it's not impeding the other player's fun, then go for it. Even if it's not my preferred thing, and I might introduce changes in a future edition just to stop you from doing that thing in the game, I'll let it happen. Yeah. And if people call me on a correction, then that's all right. It's not about my ego for once.
For once.
For once.
Admit it, Jason, you have no ego.
It's not anymore.
I was going to say, it's been pretty thoroughly crushed.
I know I don't do anything right.
But we love you anyways.
No, as long as I'm going to still be a writer, I've got some ego. It just comes with the territory.
You kind of have to.
Yeah. So just, focus on giving the players a good time, and if conflicts start erupting between the players, find a way that everyone can do something cool, because in the end, that's what they want. They want to have fun, and they want to have a chance for their character to do something awesome. Yeah. So try to position that so that happens. If it means it's just in the adventure, go for it.
That would be the other thing. For me, I'm going to go ahead and add one more thing, too, specifically for convention adventures. Although, again, this applies to any table, I think. But a big thing that I always found was really useful, because you will frequently get one or two players that they're really into the role playing, or they're really into gaming, or they just really know the rules. So they will, if you let them, they will start running the table. Basically, they will talk all the time. They will do everything. They will start telling everybody else what to do. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, a lot of times they know what's going on and they have some really good ideas, but you got to be careful, because that could, you get some players that aren't as willing to speak up because they're, they have milder personalities or whatever. So they're not willing to talk over the guy. So one of the things that I found that really helped was basically never let anybody talk for more than 5 or 10 minutes at a time. And basically I always made it a point to go around the table. I'd be like, all right, what are you doing? And he'd start going off, and he'd be like, okay, hold it right there. You're working on that. And then I'll go to the next player and say, what do you want to do? And I will deliberately focus on each individual player and ask them, what do you want to do? What is your character doing? Etc. And it gives everybody a chance to speak up without everybody else talking over them. And I always think that is a very important point, because at a convention, especially in the gaming rooms where it can be very loud to begin with, so it's hard to hear people talking anyhow. But then again, like I said, you'll have players that they're not very outspoken. They're shy, or they're quiet, or whatever. So they don't speak up. So this helps get them into the game and into the action, and helps let them have a little bit more fun.
Yeah, that's a very solid point. I think making sure you ask people what they're doing and give them a chance to contribute is very good advice.
And to be fair, if you ask them and they say, no, I'm not really going to do anything, or I'm just going to follow him, that's a perfectly valid explanation too, or action.
Right.
You never want to force them to do stuff.
Oh, but give them an opportunity to make things happen.
Yes. I think that's all of us. So, Andy, I think it is your turn for a question.
What's my turn for a question? All right. So let's. I'm gonna go off train. Well, not a huge deal on this one, but outside of our gaming cons, what is the one other type or con that you really want to go to?
For me, this is easy. There is, although I think this one or the next year is the last one that they're doing for a while. There is a annual G.I. Joe convention. Back to G.I. Joe for me. There is an annual G.I. Joe convention every year, and unfortunately it almost always falls right around Origins Gen Con. So it's never been something I've been able to do, because it's just, too many conventions too close together, too much money. So I've never been able to attend, and I've always been disappointed about that. I would have always loved to go. And then going along with that, while I'm not as big a Transformers guy, I think BotCon would be a lot of fun. And I would love to go to San Diego Comic-Con once, just to experience it. I don't think I would have a lot of fun there, because it's just too big, too crowded, too much standing in line. But I would like to go just to experience it one time, just because it is such a cultural thing at this point.
You're not going to wait overnight for for seeing John Williams or something crazy like that they pull out their butts?
Oh, hell no. I'm too old and too busted for that sort of crap.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't do that camping overnight type stuff that they would do. But like I said, I would love to go just to, explore and experience it once. Jason.
I hope this counts as a convention, but ever since I liked the Humphrey Bogart page on Facebook, I've occasionally gotten notices about the Humphrey Bogart Film Festival down in Florida.
Oh.
Key Largo, to be specific, in October.
Yeah.
So first of all, not bad to go down to Key Largo in October.
No.
But like this year, they're showing Key Largo, Casablanca, African Queen, To Have and Have Not, The Big Sleep, The Maltese Falcon, Treasure of the Sierra Madre,
Oh, my
Beat
God.
the Devil,
Wow.
Teen Mutiny. I mean, what more can I ask for out of life than to hang out with a lot of people who want to watch Bogart noir films and be in Florida and enjoy myself?
Oh, that would be
I like that.
That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
If I win the lottery between now and October, we're all going.
Woohoo!
Whoa, yeah.
Because I think that would be. I actually think it would be a lot of fun, and I think it would be a lot of fun to go with you, Jason, especially, just because I know how into the noir setting that you tend to be, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch the movies, but also to watch them with you specifically.
I would try not to poke you repeatedly during the big sleep and go, "Oh, this thing coming up is awesome. Oh, this thing is awesome. Oh, this is the best."
No, I think that totally counts.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
agree
good.
completely.
That's my answer then.
All right, Andy.
So there's really two, and actually Jason played into one of the two, but the first one I would love to do E3, but more as a presenter, get Broomstick Fighters kicked up properly and get something out there, and actually go to E3 and present a game next year, hopefully, fingers crossed. Which again usually overlaps Origins, so it would count me out of that for a year. But Jason has a good point on that thing. They up in New England do an H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival. Which
Nice.
Yeah, that's another. Again, that's completely that way. And to be honest, there's a third one that I have always meant to get to, and every year I just it doesn't work out on timing. But Lebowski Fest.
Isn't that the one that's down in like Kentucky or?
Yes, yeah. We've missed a few of those, and I get to play a makeup date with Gen Con by getting to see They Might Be Giants there, but They Might Be Giants showed up at Lebowski Fest one year and
Oh, nice
concert. It was going to be the first year we were going to go.
Nice.
You saw the guy at Origins, I'm sure, dressed as the dude.
Yes, three days straight.
I saw pictures of that. He had a good costume.
The day the movie came out had to be the best day of his life because he's like, so I can wear loose, pretty much pajama pants and a bathrobe and sunglasses and carry around a drink and everyone will love me.
Yeah. Funny enough, I saw him with the Tony Stark that we talked to at Gen Con last year. He was. Yeah, he was there, and I saw the two of them wandering the halls with drinks in their hands, and I'm like, there's something special about that.
That
I
is
like
awesome.
Very different engines on those characters.
And yet somehow still very similar.
In some ways, they'd enjoy talking to each other.
I know Andy's managed to go to one or two of them, but another one I would love to go to would be Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, no, those are great.
That would be fun, yeah. Especially because with the new movies coming out, they're getting insider tips and so many people showing up. That'd be cool.
This is going to go along with your favorite convention memory, and only if you can talk about it. What is your worst convention memory?
We don't have a rating here, right? No, there's no family.
No, not really.
Alrighty then.
We've been pretty good, but if you need to drop the F-bomb or let's not get too graphic, okay? But
Oh, I'm never that Oh, wait, never mind.
I was gonna say I've known you for far too long for that to work on me.
Damn. Let me see. I'm now thinking about this. I mean, the conventions are so far and away from the doldrums of my real life it is hard to think of anything horrible but and we're going to go back to Haterade here, sir. Yeah.
For those listening, that may be wondering, I have a pretty high tolerance for alcohol, so my default drink, just so that I can get buzzed, tends to be a mixture of Everclear and Gatorade. I'll take a 32-ounce bottle of Gatorade, drink a little bit of it, and then I'll refill it with Everclear and mix it together. And we call that Haterade.
Which has no flavor.
Yeah, you can't taste the alcohol in it, and it keeps you hydrated so you don't have to worry about hangovers. Bonus.
No, you're wrong, because that leads into this story.
Okay, usually doesn't lead to hangovers. Go ahead.
So our friend Bull here decided he's going to throw the Haterade in the refrigerator, keep it nice and fresh, in their Gatorade bottles, pre-made, right above the Gatorade bottles we have for the con on the regular day. So we wake up, 8:30 a.m., decide we're going to go run about, hit the con floor, see everybody, wave at the GMs before we actually go do anything. And, we're just sipping our Gatorade all morning long after breakfast. And we're back and forth across the hall. And it's only been open an hour. It's about 10:30. And I believe...
If I can interject, we skipped breakfast that morning. That was one of the problems.
Oh, you're right. We did skip.
We hadn't eaten anything.
and I believe we were wandering, and you were like, oh, Weiss and Hickman are here. Let's go over to Weiss's booth. And we stopped to look at the booth, and neither one of us were standing straight at that point. We were kind of tippling around just a wee bit. So we were pure drunk by 10:30 in the morning. So by the time 5:30 in the evening rolled around and we went to get dinner, we got to Max and Irma's there across the street, and I had a huge pounding headache and a hangover building up nice and early in the evening. So we drank more over dinner. I felt perfectly fine. See, it all got better. But yeah, that was by far the second drunkest I have ever been at a con.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, and not really.
No, I know you're not sorry about that.
It was pretty funny.
It created con memories.
I remember running into John Dunn, and he looks at us, and we're sort of just standing there swaying, and he's like, "Are you guys drunk?" We're like, "No, yes,
what? No,
maybe."
Wait. We did get. Did we grab the Gatorade? Is this no, the Gatorade? Is it shit?
Jason.
So was that like a joint one for both of you?
No, I'll throw one. I'll throw one out here in a minute, but we'll go ahead and go do you. I'm still debating.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of like bad ones because I have a good time.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way for us. That's the key. Is I'm like trying to was this really a bad? Like even Andy's there. Was that really a bad memory?
Yeah, but there was one Gen Con. I mean, I said on the good memories that I love the chaos and trying to do too much. And there was one Gen Con, and I'd come on the heels of some more chaotic conventions. And so I didn't have a ton on my schedule, at least not for Gen Con. And so I was in the booth a lot and, then did meetings in the evening and just kind of coasted, and I felt at the end of it like I had just messed up the entire convention because I was just kind of there. I wasn't trying to make interesting things happen. I wasn't walking the floor enough. I wasn't finding cool things, and that's just a waste of an opportunity. If I'm going to go to Gen Con, I should try to find cool stuff. I should try to have interesting things happen, and if I didn't, I wasted too much time. So that was the most negative for me is I just, I had an opportunity to do cool stuff and I didn't.
Yeah, I've had a couple of conventions where, while I still had fun at the end of them, it was one of those. So there was a couple of years where I ended up being so busy with stuff. There were years when I was both running games and I was organizing the our demo guys, and I was trying to do other stuff too. And by the end of the convention, I just realized I hadn't actually done almost anything all show. I'd been so busy working that I never got to play anything. I barely got to see any of my friends all convention, and I went home basically just feeling like I wasted 4 or 5 days of convention.
Yeah, you don't want to feel like that.
No, and that was just really really a bummer. Other than that, I've had a couple of shows where I just got so tired that I ended up falling asleep. Like, I know there was a couple of years, and Andy can vouch for this. There's just been a couple of times when I make the mistake of sitting down on the bed in the hotel room, like when we're getting ready for dinner or something like that. And the next thing I know, it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and somebody's waking me up.
Yeah, I received texts from you in those situations where you didn't
Yeah.
hear from you for a while, and they go, "Oh yeah, I was asleep." That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's happening to all of us because we're getting old.
There
too.
is that. And I think the one real negative I got, and I won't go into too many details, is I want to say this was one of the first years Fan Pro had taken over Shadowrun. Shadowrun, and we'd started doing the classic BattleTech stuff at the time. And I was working the booth, and this guy came up to me, and he starts babbling at me about BattleTech. And I don't really know a whole lot about BattleTech, and I'm up front with the guy. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not really a BattleTech guy, I'm a Shadowrun guy. I'm like, and if you want to talk BattleTech, if you want to come back in a little bit, one of our guys that knows BattleTech will be here. And he's like, and he just started going off on me, and he's bitching at me about how BattleTech ruined the space stuff, I guess. There was rules for using spaceships and stuff.
Oh, the battle space.
Yeah,
I
he's
know
like,
this battle space guy.
yes, yeah, you know who I'm talking about because he's from Dayton.
Yeah.
I've run into him at the Bookery too. But he literally like just sat there like almost not yelling at me, but just like bitching at me for like half an hour, and I couldn't get him to go away, and I couldn't get him to leave me alone. And I have I'm only understanding about a third of what he's saying because I'm not into BattleTech enough. I know giant stompy robots that shoot missiles, and that's about it. I've picked up a lot of BattleTech over the years, but still, there's a lot of the little stuff that I don't know, and I'm just like, he finally leaves, and I'm just like, oh my god, how do people put up with that? And I know that a lot of booth workers and game designers get that, because you just every now and then you get those guys that just decide they need to air all of their grievances at the booth.
Yes, you do.
And that's always a really big negative because it can really drag you down and kind of not ruin your day, but can kind of ruin your hour.
Yeah, that's why you have coworkers who sometimes pull over you. Oh, this guy has a question here. You need to come up.
Yeah, unfortunately, This was, like I said, this was the Fan Pro days, and this was early.
Yeah, there was no escape places in the booth in the Fan Pro days.
There was nobody else
there's
there.
nowhere to hide.
Well, a lot of the Fan Pro guys stayed out late drinking every night too, which meant that they weren't at the booth early.
I remember those days. Oh yes.
So I think I was like the only one at the booth at the time, so there was nothing I could do about it. So
That makes it tough.
so yeah, that's it there. We'll go around and do one more round. We'll do one more question from each of you guys, and then we'll wrap it up because it's been a little while now. So, Andy, I think it's your turn.
Oh crap! I got to come up with another one.
Well, it doesn't. You can go off book. You can go off convention stuff. We've done a lot of convention specifics. You can ask other things if you want.
All right. So the big question: what are we playing right now?
That is a good question. I am playing a whole lot of not much, unfortunately. I'm currently running, on occasion, a homebrew game called Apox Twilight, which is a post-apocalyptic fantasy game that I'm creating from scratch, and I'm running that for my Patreon, for some of my guys for my Patreon. And other than that, I've been playing Ark Survival Evolved on Andy's Broomstick Fighters server.
Woohoo!
I've been playing. We just started Secret Worlds Legends, just relaunched, and I've been playing that a little bit. And Andy has not joined us on that yet because he's been playing other games. Slacker.
Yeah, that's my answer. You can't take it. Take it yet.
That's why I said other games. And I've been playing a game that was kickstarted a few years back called Dead State, which is a kind of an XCOM style zombie survival game. You have a base, you build up and fortify, you explore a map and you can rescue survivors and fight off zombies. And it's got kind of that isometric tactical strategy maps to fighting the zombies.
That sounds cool. What's that called?
Dead State.
I will check to see if it's available on any platforms I have.
It's available on Steam and it's available on Good Old Games. I got it on Good Old Games about a month ago. They had a summer sale, and it was like $2.50. So
Well, I just have to check to see if it's if they have a Mac version, because I'm one of those people.
I don't know if there's a Mac version. So
that's why I'm checking. Because it sounds like fun.
It's fun. It's got its flaws. It's a little bit of because it's a Kickstarter game, and it kind of shows in some of the. It's not nearly as polished as it could be, but it's still. I've gotten a number of hours of fun out of it. So, and that is my answer.
Jason, what you playing?
I guess it's me. Well, always Catalyst stuff that I have to playtest or enjoy playtesting for work. So that I figure is a given. So I won't list all that. I'm doing a lot of board games to try to have a big board game night at least once a month. Got a haul from Origins, so looking forward to playing Terraforming Mars. I have been planning a time-traveling Zombicide campaign. So it'll be one Zombicide game where they start off in the present day, encounter a necromancer who drags them back to the Black Plague medieval era, and then they have to find enough components to build a portal to get back to their time.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And then computer-wise, since I finally have a computer capable of playing some games, I just played this game that you probably haven't heard of because it's so obscure now, but it's called BioShock. I think it's going to do good things. It's a good game. And so I moved on to Civilization 5, of course, not 6, but 5. And I'm playing some Civ 5.
Nice. I've played the original BioShock. I had a lot of fun with that. I played it on the Xbox back in the day.
It's so pretty.
I still never got around to playing 2 or the last one.
I didn't hear great things about the second one, but I heard the third was better.
Yeah. All right, Andy?
Oh yeah, it leads over to me. So, board gaming. I like Jason. We have a monthly board game night at my house, and we currently have got a few. Picked up some new rather dashing games at Origins to try out here, which will be interesting. Looking forward to finally premiering some that we've had for a year, and we catch X-Wing and Armada on some of those days too. So been doing that on the board game side.
Did you manage to score a copy of the big hit of Origins, Elements?
Actually, no.
Bummer.
Yeah, they're working out something for me because, I was on the playtesters list, and unfortunately they sold out, so I couldn't grab a copy of the game.
It's a good game.
It is an excellent game. That's why I tried to facilitate a sale at one point, and that didn't work out. But that's a long story for another night.
I know some of that story. I played the
early,
had it in app form.
Yeah, that was 2-3 years ago,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good story to tell over whiskey.
I'm aware of a fair amount of it.
So let's see, computer-wise. So actually, just before I got on here, my big old box had broken down, which is one of the reasons I have not been on the Secret World with you guys, Bull. So we it's downloading in the background right now, and we've got We've got the Secret World Legends coming up soon. I will log in and play. However, what I found was my CPU was not seated properly.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so I had to reseat the fan and the CPU. Fortunately, nothing burned out, nothing bad happened. So now all of a sudden, The Witcher 3 is playing fine. Arc is running 200%, and like and then I got this game this week called Subnautica, and it may have eaten my soul a little bit. It's got a really good story behind the whole survival aspect, and I'm enjoying the crap out of that right now.
Yeah.
And then every other week right now we've got one of our players out, so I'm actually playing in a D&D 5th Ed campaign, and then I run a Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, combination of Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion right now, and one of our guys may have just turned out to be force sensitive, and we're going to go off the rails.
Awesome. Yeah, Subnautica looks like a lot of fun. I've been watching a Let's Play on YouTube, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I watched a few of Alareth's Let's Play things, and they seem pretty awesome. And
I haven't been watching his, but I've been watching Neebs Gaming. And they kind of do an interesting thing because it's a single-player game. But the Neebs guys are a group of like 4 guys that do games together, usually. So since it's a single-player game, what they have is they have one guy who's the survivor, and then he's calling back to the home, basically the home office that sent out the ship that crashed originally. And they're trying to arrange rescue operations for him. But they're completely inept. So they got this whole script thing that they're doing, and it's really, really hilarious and entertaining.
Nice. I actually might check that out.
It's really well done, but the game looks fantastic. I know that it would just destroy my computer, though. So.
Well, also, if you have any fear of open water or dark water whatsoever, you will either not be playing this game, or you will cure yourself of those fears in a relatively short matter. And I'm not extremely comfortable with them. And fortunately, I've got a much larger submersible at this point in the game, and so it's not quite as scary. But yeah, things coming out of dark water still is extremely. It's awesome, but it's extremely scary.
Well, you know my feelings about going into the water in Ark.
Oh yes,
there are giant things that want to eat you everywhere. No, I'm going to stay
on
land.
Now they have tentacles.
Yes, Jason. I
will return to the convention theme again. We've talked a lot about Origins and Gen Con, but there are plenty of other gaming conventions out there.
There are?
So there's a number of them. They happen all the time. So recommend a smaller gaming convention that you know about that people should maybe think about visiting at some point in time.
Unfortunately, I don't know that many anymore. I know there's a couple up in the Cleveland area, which is where I'm at. There's Concoction that a buddy of mine helps run, but I've unfortunately never made it out there. Unfortunately, with my knees and my mobility problems, I don't tend to go out to conventions too often anymore because they're a pain in the ass to get around at. But apparently Concoction's a lot of fun, and that's actually up in Cleveland. And then I know Jason's familiar with Con on the Cob, and that might have been one of the ones he was going to pimp.
Well, I figured you might get to it first, so I had backups.
Okay. Yeah, there's Con on the Cob is, what's that, Richfield now?
I think so. I always forget the exact name of the town.
Yeah, I know they moved it because it used to be somewhere else, and they moved it recently. That's a nice smaller convention. I haven't been there since they moved it, though, but I had a lot of fun a couple years back when I got to go. And I actually got to play Shadowrun. We played 50 Shades of Brown.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Other than that, I don't know of too many anymore. It's been a long time since I've really gone to any smaller conventions, mainly because Gen Con and Origins usually devours my soul and my free cash. Andy.
So yeah, also don't go to too many other ones. And although it's not really gaming related, I have one that I do like to attend. I didn't get this last year, but previous couple of years I've gone for at least a day, and that's the International Steampunk Symposium down in Cincinnati. There are airship games, umbrella fencing, tea duels, and all sorts of good vendors. And they're working some gaming in as more and more people are actually introducing steampunk style games or steampunk themed games. There's more of that coming. The guy who runs that also runs a convention usually later in the year, every other year, called Pandora Con. And last year I helped arrange a lot of their gaming stuff, and then ended up sick for the weekend, so couldn't go. That one, unfortunately, ran concurrently with a new one in Dayton called ArcadeCon, which appears to be bringing in a lot of big producers of things like Shadows of the Demon Lord and 5th Edition D&D. It's run by some podcasters, and I'm hoping this year I get to go check that one out.
Yeah.
Well, it's here in town, yeah.
I couldn't remember the name of it, but I was going to mention that one, too, because Kender goes down to that one and runs. He's actually, I think the podcast he's affiliated with is one of the ones that helps put it together.
Oh, well, hell, then you need to come down here, and we all need to go and invade that con. And
I was actually thinking about trying that this year. That is in November, it looks like.
Yeah, I believe second weekend of November.
Yeah, 10th through 12th. I'm looking at one of the pages for it. So might think about trying to make it down for that.
Yeah, there's the convention center actually has a connected hotel, and although Dayton, is by far not Indianapolis, you're really close to some really good eateries down near there too. So, maybe we can have our own con that suddenly explodes into something way bigger than the city can handle.
If nothing else, it'd be a good excuse to come down and visit you guys.
And we welcome you.
He says that now.
Show up on the door and suddenly no one's home.
Damn it!
This is what we bought the new security system in the house for.
All right. Jay.
Two that I've been to fairly recently that were fun, run really well, everything taken care of nicely. I had good gamers at the table. Were Marcon in Columbus and Nexus up in Milwaukee.
Yeah, both of those are supposed to be pretty good shows.
Yeah, everything went really well at those shows, and the games were just, complete strangers that I'd never met before, but playing with them was a lot of fun. People were really throwing out creative ideas, and I just, enjoyed the whole thing. And even, seminars at small cons, sometimes you don't get a ton of people, but even with 5-10 people in the room, there were lively conversations and people willing to participate and throw out interesting questions or ideas or just have a good conversation. So they were both a lot of fun.
And sometimes with those smaller groups like that, it gets a little more intimate. You can start talking. It becomes more of a conversation than a seminar, which is kind of fun.
Right, you can get a little looser, you can goof around, and you can have a lot more back and forth with the audience. With a big audience, it all kind of is coming from the people in front, but if there's a smaller group, it can be everyone.
Occasionally coming out from those two guys sitting up in the front who are heckling you the whole time.
I don't know who those guys are.
I don't know either. They were.
I used to be a heckler.
I was a heckler there for a while.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I miss doing the Waldorf and Statler thing with.
I look forward to you heckling me some more.
It should be fun. We're gonna try to do it again this year.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm not working. You're not working.
We're tourists again.
Oh, this con's gonna be so bad.
One of my favorite things from the convention, one of my favorite convention memories, and I kind of forgot about it, so I'm gonna go back a little bit. Was this was maybe 6 or 7 years ago now, 8 years ago. It was a while. Me and Andy were walking around the convention. That's how long ago it was. I was still walking.
Yeah.
We were walking around the convention, and we decided to be complete jerks. And we started doing the Menomina song. For a do.
Oh God, yes.
So we're just wandering the hall, and we're just kind of just doing that under our breaths. And what was funny is later in the day, we're wandering around and we're hearing other people humming that. So we were infecting.
Mental viri in action.
It was pretty fantastic. That was a lot of fun. We were infecting other people with it all weekend.
Yeah, I think I got hit by Docky on that one at some point.
All right, I'm gonna wrap us up with one last question. And since you're both going to be at Gen Con, what is something you're looking forward to at Gen Con? What is one thing that you're really, really excited to see or do or experience at this coming Gen Con? Andy, we'll start with you.
Oh, that's wow. A, being a tourist. B, They Might Be Giants is playing a concert. C, there's a lot of people there that I just would love to run into, and because I'm a tourist, I will have the time to maybe run into them and talk. Yeah, I'm of course looking forward to evenings with the Scotch Squad and other fine talks that we'll have until 3 or 4 in the morning, but also looking forward to sleeping in and not worrying about when the dealer's hall opens up because, I'm just a tourist.
That is nice. Jason.
It's 50th anniversary. It's going to be huge. There's a lot going on. We should finally have Dragonfire for sale, which is a game that has occupied pretty much all of Catalyst staff except me while I'm busy trying to keep Shadowrun going. So having that for sale after we've worked to build anticipation for it should be really exciting. I think it's going to do good things. My wife is also doing a whole interactive painting activity in the convention center, so people can just drop by and help her make a big 3 canvas wide painting.
Yeah, she's doing like a mural type thing, right?
Yeah, so she'll have 3 canvases with stuff already drawn on it, and people can fill in different elements or draw their own or whatever. And so it should be very cool to see how that works, because it's a totally new experiment that we're very happy that Gen Con is letting her do. So just having all that energy and, big new game and new experiments and chaos of possibly selling out a huge convention hall, I'm just looking forward to the complete chaos.
Nice.
And diving into it.
Yeah, sometimes those big interactive group things can be just so much fun. I was actually sort of there for the very first. You guys have both seen Cardhalla.
Oh yes.
For those that haven't gotten the chance to go, Cardhalla is they section off an area of the convention center, and companies and people bring in and supply loose cards. And basically you're encouraged to sit down and build whatever you want out of cards. And it goes on all weekend long. And then at the end of the convention, I'm not entirely sure if they still do the Reign of Change or not. They used to do a thing where everybody could basically throw coins and stuff at the buildings to destroy it. Kind of a rain of meteors to destroy this card city that's been built over the course of the weekend. And then they collect all the money for charity, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
What's really awesome about Cardhalla, though, is that the entire thing happened completely 100% organically. I was running for FASA at the time. I was organizing the tournaments and stuff. This was back in Milwaukee. Years and years and years ago. Back in, I want to say, 98 or 99. And at some point, one of my buddies, Tim Patrick, who's has been one of our demo agents over the years, and I think he's going as a tourist this year too. But at one point during the convention, Tim had come up to me and said, "Oh, you got to come see this. They're building this huge card tower down in the card room." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But I'd seen on TV and stuff people building a giant card tower, and I'm like, it's no big deal. But anyways, towards the end of the convention, I wandered down there, and it wasn't a card tower. It's all these buildings, and they had like multiple tables, and people had bridges connecting across the various tables. Just these structures, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is the whole thing happened, like I said, 100% organically. In the convention goodie bag, because that's also how far back this goes, is there was still a goodie bag that all the attendees got. There was a card game called Young Jedi Knights that was being debuted by, I want to say, Decipher. And they had just this little starter deck that they gave everybody who attended. And as the legend goes, 2 players sat down at a table. They were waiting for a tournament to start because there was one of the ballrooms was where they held all of their card game tournaments. And so there was a couple empty tables at one end of the hall. These 2 guys sat down to try out the card game. About 5 minutes later, decided that the card game was terrible and basically built a couple of little card houses and then got up and left. Well, somebody saw that, sat down, and they built a couple of card houses. And by the end of the day, they had an entire table just filled with little card buildings and stuff. And the convention staff came over and were like, look, we're supposed to have a tournament coming up here pretty soon that needs these tables. But this is really cool. So we're going to move the tournament, and you guys can keep doing this. And this ended up running all weekend long. And by the end of it, a couple of guys kind of took charge, sort of decided to do a thing. And what they did was it was a $1 raffle, and whoever won was going to be allowed to play Godzilla. And basically rampage through the city. But the guy who won, they were going to be doing this at midnight on Saturday night. However, he won the raffle, but then he had to leave. He had to catch a flight before midnight. So he said, rather than somebody doing Godzilla, why don't you do the Rain of Coins? He said, let everybody do that and collect that and add it to the money for charity. And they all donated it to, I don't remember what the charity was that year, but it was whatever the official Gen Con charity was. They had made arrangements with the convention to donate that money towards that. And so then after that, it became a regular event. They started actually registering it with the convention. And it's just so cool that happened as just sort of a couple of bored guys, and then people just sort of spiraled out from it. And it's always been one of those like awesome little con stories.
Yeah, that kind of spontaneity and everything, how it creates something out of nothing is cool.
Yeah, I know that back in the Milwaukee days, it was kind of nice. I used to go down and spend a couple hours building every year because it was nice and it was quiet. It was a really good way to get like I said, I was running things and organizing things, and it was really nice to be able to go.
Totally understand.
Yeah, you go and spend a couple hours just sitting and building, and it's it's zen is what it is.
Right. And that is needed sometimes.
Indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Just answer the question. That's right.
Oh,
honestly,
you're so sweet.
You guys and honestly everybody else, but I mean, that's why I go to the conventions, is to see my friends. I don't get to see you guys. I don't get to hang out with you guys that often, so that is the highlight of my year, honestly, is getting to see my friends. So
it is a fantastic part of it. What day are you coming in?
I will be there. My plan is I'm going down and crashing with Andy Tuesday night, and then we'll head over on Wednesday at some point. I'm not sure when he's planning to head in.
Whenever we head in, I'm off.
So sometime Wednesday afternoon, probably.
All right. You have my number. Text me.
Well, definitely. We will be there, and we will hang out, and it should be a lot of fun.
Wait, you got Jason's number? Give me that. I could send him all sorts.
Don't give it to Andy.
I was just gonna share it with everybody listening to the podcast.
Even better.
There you go.
Everybody tell Jason hi, but don't send him prank text, whatever you do.
They would never do that at all.
No.
If you have errata suggestions for Shadowrun, definitely send that.
Oh, yes. Tell Jason how much you love him as the developer for Shadowrun. I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, Jason's phone quickly turns into the comments section on YouTube. I would never do that.
I know, you're good people.
All right, I think that's where we're going to wrap it, though. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Bulldrek Round Table podcast. That is it for me for this week. Next month, tune back in, and we'll have another episode for you. So have a good one. Until then, take it easy.